Alrighty guys, where I left you off last week, we had completed part 1's section, and I got you to do the rest like so with a picture, or like there. Gorgeous, and you can see all the rows and the amount of rows you needed to do. And on your very last row, I asked you not to crochet along the side of your yellow. If you haven't popped your yellows on, pop them on, but don't complete the side, because we're going to fold this over and crochet through that now. Now that's not what we're going to do yet. That's just to tell you this is the reason why I didn't want you to crochet along here. We're going to do that in a minute. All right, but before we do, let's move everything out the way for now. We don't need that for now. We will need it in a minute, right? Before we continue, this is the part if you wanted to add lining. There's 2 steps to the lining, okay? There's 1 step of the lining, and then we're going to do some crochet, and then there's a 2nd step of the lining, all right? This is the 1st step. Grab your material and pop it under your piece. Now, I've already cut mine, but I wanted to show you what I mean by cutting your piece to suit, right? All you need to do is cut your piece to be 1 centimetre, where's my measuring tape? 1 centimetre or half an inch. I can't see it there, like 1 centimetre or half. Hello, we're so far away. Let's do it from 2 to 3 because, well, no, let's do it where we can, there we go, where we can see the inches. It's hard to see with the metal clasp. So from 4 centimetres to 5 centimetres is actually half an inch. So what I want you to do is do the lining half an inch in the round, yep, or 1 centimetre in the round. That's 1 centimetre, 1 centimetre, 1 centimetre, 1 centimetre, and so on, all the way through. Once you've done that, cut it to match, move the lining out the way. We're not going to use it for a while, all right? Keep that in mind. Oh, by the way, before you cut, before you cut, what I want you to do is make this half an inch a little tiny bit bigger, because you're going to be popping your single crochet row down here now. So that side there can be a tiny little bit bigger than the opposite side. All right, so where we are now is we're going to crochet along here. But before we do, grab your skein. Now I've got a center pull on my skein, so that means I've got a whole lot of this part available to use. I wound up, let's move that out the way. I wound up a ball of yarn for between 5 to 7 grams worth of yarn, okay? And then I cut it, but I kept my yarn attached here. We're not going to work on this one yet, all right? We're going to put this aside, and we're going to work on the other squares for now. Forget about the lining right now, that will be worked out in a minute, and forget about our big piece, that will be worked out in a minute too. What I want you to do is have a look on the screen there, and you see your 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we're going to do is make that square now, or rectangle, however you look at that piece. All right, so we're going to start by going down this way. So we need a yellow, a grey, and a purple. So grab a yellow, a grey, and a purple, and we're going to pretty much start the way we would have started our large piece. Yeah, so you will need yourself another stitch marker. So grab a stitch marker, and we'll need another one. I've got large ones here. Okay, so grab your stitch marker, and we're going to start. All right, grab your hook, you'll need that, and we're going to start with the yellow. So move your other colours out the way. I'm going to help you with colours. You don't have to worry about this square. I will sort that out for you. And we're going to start exactly the same way we did the other side. Avoid your little knot, go into your very first corner, grab your little blue that you took off your skein, and this is how we're going to start. Pop your yarn over your hook, pull a loop through, and just grab that little piece of little tail there, that is, and pop it forward so we can lock it into place, chaining 1, single crochet in the same space, chain 1, and single crochet in the same space. And I just realized I forgot to put my stitch marker in that first single crochet. Pop your stitch marker in that first single crochet, which Naughty Mary forgot to do. So pop your stitch marker right there. All right, just pop your tail at the back now. That is now, remember that we are still working on the front of our work for our squares, as we were doing before with our other piece here. And just once again, do a single crochet, 1, 2, no, where am I? I'm sorry, let's go back. 2, I skipped a stitch, 3, single crochet 1 in the corner, chain 1, and single crochet a second one in the corner. And what do you do here? You pop another stitch marker. So you pop your stitch marker in between your, your 2 stitches, so right in between that chain stitch section. Gorgeous. And you continue that side, just this side only. So single into the first stitch, single into your second stitch, and single into your third, like so. And then 1 into the corner, chain 1, hold it there. Grab your grey. All right, so we've got our grey. Once again, we are going to attach our grey. Can't get the tail out the way there. We're going to attach the grey the same way we would normally, just the corner away from your tail. If you've got your tails weaved in, yay, go you, and do your normal single crochet. I'll tighten that stitch up a little, pull up your loop. You know this part, it is slip stitching across, like so. And then 1 into your first stitch there, pull up your loop, slip stitch across. All right. I'm going to continue doing this. I'm not going to pop it on fast because we're almost at that corner right there. And we are at the corner. Pop your single crochet in your space. I'm not saying too much, guys, because you know to do this. And then into your first stitch there of the corner on the opposite side. Yep. And then you chain 1, lift up your loop, go over to your space where your stitch marker is. If you can't get in there, just remove that stitch marker, pop it in through the space, pull a loop through, chain 1, single back in the corner. You know this part. This is what we've been doing all along. All right, so what I want you to do is continue this until we get to that thread right there. I'm going to pop this part on fast because you know this. It's a single crochet in each stitch. You do your single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, place your stitch marker, and then continue along. All right, and off we go. And single 3, and now I'm at that corner. So what I want you to do is pop your hook in, pop your tail over your work. If you don't have a tail, just pop your hook in and do a normal single crochet over your tail if you have one, and just in the stitch if you don't. Okay, chain 1 like normal, grab your purple. So you're grabbing your purple and you're going to do yet again exactly the same. Find the corner without the thread, do your single crochet, pull the loop through like so, and you know how to do this part. You go into the very first stitch and you do this part. All right, so what I want you to do is repeat the process that we did for that one, for the purple. Meet me back here once you're done, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, do that process. Meet me right over here with this thread here, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, I asked you to get to the end of this section, and now we're going to pop a single crochet in the corner, complete the corner like so, chain 1, and we are going to work along this side. So you do a second single crochet right there, pop your stitch marker in the space, right there. Ow, don't do it like that. And then single crochet into your stitches across. Now mine's a really tight one there. It's very tight. I can see that, so tight. Do a single crochet, make sure you get into that first stitch, yeah. Single into your second stitch, into your third, into your first corner, chain 1, and slip stitch into the stitch as normal, and then you chain 1 and you single crochet into that second corner. So you've jumped over, and once again you are doing your singles across. All right, I know you know how to do this. I'm going to pop this on fast and off we go. Three, and then we're way at the corner here, and what are we going to do? Pop your single crochet, pass your tail at the back, do your single crochet, chain 1, hold it there. All right, so now what we're going to do is, it's a bit awkward to look at, it's upside down really if you think about it. So now we're going to attach the grey. So you don't have to worry about this. I will show you what colours to attach. So attach your grey, and your grey is going to be attached there. All right, so go ahead and do that now. And it's very simple. You know how to do it. Start at the first corner. Pull up your loop over to the other side and pull the loop through like normal. Single into the first chain, slip stitch into your first stitch on the other side. Yeah, very easy. You know how to do this. I say very easy, but I always mess it up. Very easy. You know how to do this. And it's not that it's easy. You know how to do it now. You've done one big piece in part 2. Oh, by the way, guys, if you haven't completed part 2, part 1 or 2, go ahead and complete that now. I've left links to those parts in the description box or the more section down below. Complete that and meet us back here to do part 3. And just pull that loop through. We're at the corner. We're going to do our normal single crochet in the corner, lift up the loop, slip stitch into your first corner stitch on the opposite side, like so. Chain 1, lift up your loop. Remember what we do here, we go directly opposite. Okay, well, lucky we can just say we go into the grey, yeah. So go over to the grey, in the blue section, of course. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, and pull it through the loop, like so, or the stitch, I should say. Chain 1, I'm tightening it up, okay, and then single crochet in the corner. You guys know how to do this, okay? I'm just getting you started, and then I'll tell you in a minute what you're going to do with your, that didn't work, what you're going to do with your colours, your next few colours, yeah? And one more. It's really difficult with the small squares, isn't it, guys? Did you find it difficult? Part 2? I did a little bit. Yeah, I did. In the corner, do your stitch, chain 1, lift up your loop, grab your next colour, which is the purple. So grab a purple, yeah? Or whatever colour you're using. If you're using different colours than us, by all means, go ahead and do that. But yeah, grab the purple. And once again, popping your hook in that stitch or that corner after the tail. With a single crochet, lift up the loop, pull the loop through, single in your first stitch on your purple, pull the loop through the first stitch on your opposite side, single in your second stitch of your purple, pull the loop through the second stitch on the opposite side, single in your third stitch on your purple, pull the loop through the third stitch on your opposite side, single in your corner on your purple, pull up your loop and slip stitch in that corner stitch right there. You can see it on the opposite side. Gorgeous. Chain on, pull up your loop, and remember we are doing our total opposites. So you're going into the yellow, so you're going into the blue of the yellow square. So pop your hook in. This is the awkward part. I'll get a bit of a close-up. You know how to do it anyway, but I'll do it anyway. So you pop your loop on your hook, yeah, pull that loop through, up and over. Make sure you haven't pulled in any other threads. I've done that twice on the other piece, by the way. I'm not checking, I've done it twice. But anyway, so you chain one and you tighten it up a little, go back into the corner on your purple or of your purple, pull up your loop and slip stitch into the first stitch. Now I said this in the last tutorial, if you're not sure where the first stitch is, that's the corner stitch right there of this piece, and then you go 1, 2, 3, and then right there is your first stitch. So you pop your hook in that stitch right there, loop on your hook and pull that through. Then don't miss that very first stitch, which there were on the odd occasion that I missed it because it was quite tight. You do a single crochet in that first stitch, pull up your loop, find the opposite stitch on the opposite side, and you can see it right there. A little tight, but it's there, yeah? Pop your hook in and slip stitch that through. Single into your second stitch of your purple, pull up your loop, slip stitch into your second stitch of your grey, single in the third stitch of your purple, pull up your loop and slip stitch in the tight third stitch of your opposite side, and then single into my corner, your corner, I'm saying my corner because it's very tight, pull up a loop, crochet that square really tight, go into the final stitch of the opposite side and slip stitch that through, chain one, lift up your loop, go to the opposite square, so the purple if you will. So you go right over to that square, pop your hook in, don't do what I'm doing, and just pop your loop on the hook and pull that loop through like so, chain one, tighten it up, make sure you haven't pulled any threads or anything, and jump back into the corner, and you know this part, you are doing your single crochets across your 3, so that's 1, 2 and 3, and then single in the corner, get rid of that tail, chain 1. All right, so now you've done what we did with the other piece, this other piece right here. You've done the start and you've done crossing the corner. So your next job now is to attach the yellow. You don't even see that, sorry, the yellow. So you need to attach a yellow right there. All right, so go ahead and attach your yellow. Meet me right back here once you're done, and then we will sort out how to do the next section. All right, go ahead and attach your yellow now, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to attach the yellow. I've done the first corner stitch, okay, so I'm going to slip stitch over into the very next stitch, the next single crochet on the other side, then I'll chain 1, slip stitch into the chain space on the side if I don't lose the loop as you do, so slip stitch over, chain 1, single crochet your second corner stitch, and then 3 single crochets across. 1, 2 and 3, single in your corner, pass that tail at the back, you don't need it there anymore, chain 1, single crochet again in your corner, pop your stitch marker in your chain 1 space. Well, isn't it popping it in the single crochet, but it needs to go into that chain 1 space right there. And I've wrecked that too, but doesn't matter. We can deal with that later. And then you know this part, it's single crochet in your first stitch, second, third, and 1 in the corner, chain 1. I'm rushing this part because you know it. Slip stitch into that, oh that didn't work, let's try it again. Slip stitch into that center stitch right there, chain 1, single in the corner, 3 across. Let's pop this on fast and get right down over here, and I'll meet you there in a moment, and off we go. Three, and then you do 1 in the corner, pass your tail at the back, chain 1, pull up your loop, and get ready for the next 3 squares. The next color we'll need is our purple, because I'm working from this way down, yellow, grey, purple, and then we turned and we did our yellow, purple, grey. So yellow, grey, purple, yep, yellow, purple, grey, and we are now on the grey, so we need the purple. All right, so grab your purple. Let's try that again. Your purple. I'll grab both of them there. All right, and what you want to do here simply is this. And you know this bit, you really do. So yeah, attach your purple real fast. Yep, pull up a loop, slip stitch over to your opposite side. All right, so I'm at the corner. I'm going to do a single in the corner, slip stitch into your opposite side, chain 1, go to the opposite corner, you know this, and slip stitch, chain 1, oops, make sure you haven't pulled any other threads through, single back in the corner, third, try it again, third, in the corner, single, chain 1, grab your very next colour, which is the yellow and then the grey. All right, so what I'm going to do is let you head off on your own and attach your 2 colours. Remember, do the yellow first and then the grey. All right, so go ahead and do those 2 pieces. Get right up to this stitch marker right here. Do your corner stitch. You don't need to add the stitch marker if you don't want to. And then single crochet your row all the way down to here and meet me there once you're done. Okay, so attach your 2 pieces, go all the way down here, meet me there, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this section. Now I said you didn't have to put your stitch marker in the corner, so you don't need to do that anymore. And we have now completed our square. But what we want to do is place your single crochet, your chain 1 and single crochet in that corner. Continue your corner with a single crochet, and you're going to do your row straight down. So go into your very first stitch, tight stitch there, into your second, your third, your corner, you know how to do this corner, chain 1, slip stitch to join, chain 1, and into the next corner. All right, I don't think I need to show you anymore, but what I want you to do is continue all of that side, turn, do the corners like normal, and continue along here and wait at that very last stitch there. So you do your corner and you go 1, 2, 3. Do your third stitch, wait for me there, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to get to your very last single crochet here. Now ordinarily you would have jumped into your corner and did a single chain and single, but you've already done that. So really all you need to do is slip stitch to join in and cut your thread. There's many ways you can do this. I'm going to show you the tricky way, which is a better way today. So what I want you to do is you finish your last stitch, you lift up your loop. Now if you want to cut your thread, if you want to slip stitch to join, cut your thread and weave in that way, that's great. This is a neater way of doing it, and it hides the tail completely. So cut your thread now, lift your loop, don't pull it too tight, and just thread your needle. Now I've been struggling with these ends. Oh, by the way, guys, for the next step, all your tails at the back need to be weaved in on this one, and all your tails at the back need to be weaved in on that one. All right. So in the meantime, what you have is that you haven't completed your stitch, and what you want to do is you want to pop your needle right down the back of the stitch with your stitch marker in it. Actually, it's the very first stitch, so just in case you've forgotten. So the back of the back loop of the stitch with your stitch marker, pop it in there like so. Just let it sit. Remove your stitch marker for a minute. All right. And just if you have a careful look, it's still open, yeah? You now want to pop your needle in through, just want to pull that back this way, the back loop of your stitch that you just came out of. All right, so the back loop there and a little loop down the base at the back. That's just to help it stay locked into place and give it a gentle tug. All right, and that will close up and hide your knot, but it'll also show the stitch complete. But you know, I'm a real stickler for these things, and I find this was going to come loose for me. So I go back into that stitch right there, and I go through the whole stitch. You don't need to do this. You can now just weave your thread on the inside, but I am the stickler. So I go into the stitch again, and then back through the very first stitch that we started with, but the whole stitch this time and not just a loop. All right, that's me because I'm a big stickler. That will be a little bit tight later when we're attaching this, so you don't need to do that part if you don't want to. Then move your work at the back and weave in this tail through your stitches at the back. Check the front, make sure you can't see the needle. Gorgeous. All the way through the back like so, one way, and then you go back in the opposite direction once again the other way. Make sure you can't see the needle. Gorgeous. And then you want to do one more time. People say don't do it one more time. I'm a stickler. I really am very fussy with my tails. There's nothing worse than you spending hours and hours producing a gorgeous project, and then you don't weave your tail in properly and it comes undone in the wash or whatever the case may be. Yeah, cut your thread. And there's nothing worse in my opinion, but anyway, so what you want to do is make sure all your ends are weaved in on this piece, and all your ends are weaved in on this piece, because we're going to talk about what we're going to do next. And I would cut a little square of your lining out. Do that now because you won't be able to do it later. And I've made my square too big. My lining is a little bit too big, so don't make yours too big. It's half an inch or 1 centimetre in the round. So cut a square piece like that, 1 centimetre extra in the round, because we're going to use that for sewing. So when we sew it in a little bit, you lose the 1 centimetre in the round. All right, so only if you're lining, that's the second part. Oh, we'll bring this out again. That's the second part of your lining. So you should have the lining cut now. If you don't have the lining cut now, it's not going to work later. It's a little confusing to do later. So make sure you cut your lining now and get ready, because we are going to attach this to that. And you're looking at it thinking, absolutely no way this is going to work. But it does. Sounds weird, but it does. All right. So we are now officially going to do that. So you need to go right back over here to this piece, and you're going to attach this piece to this piece first. Then when we get down here, we'll attach this piece to this piece. All right, so don't worry about that for now. All I want you to do is let's get rid of that little bit of yarn. I might have got you to cut too much yarn. Look at that. There's a lot left over, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's good to have more than less, yeah? You don't want to be caught out. So go back to your piece here. Now this is going to be a tiny, tiny little tricky, but not completely difficult. All right, so for this part here, what you want to do is you've done your single crochet in your chain one, lift up your loop, go over to the opposite side, the other yellow, pop your hook in that corner. Now if you can find that corner where the chain space is, that would be great. I think I just put it in the stitch, just give me one moment. We want the chain one space. It doesn't want to work for me. There it is, we're in. So pop your hook in the chain one space, grab the loop on the other side, come on Mary, you can do this, and just pull it through like normal. But you're going to chain one again to make your second corner stitch. So this is the same as what we've been doing, but just a tiny, tiny little different because we're closing up seams. So do your normal single crochet there, then you go back into your very first stitch on the opposite side and just continue to do what you've been doing all along. Single in your first stitch, slip stitch over to your first, have I got my first? Yes. First on the opposite side, single into your second, slip stitch over into your second, single into your third, and slip stitch over into your third, single in the corner. All right, now this corner is a tad different. I'm going to get close up so you can see exactly what I'm doing. You're still going to do your normal single, yeah, and you're going to chain one, and you're going to go into the opposite side like you would any other row. So go into your opposite corner and pop your loop on. Yeah. Pull that loop through like so. Chain one. Slip stitch into that section there like we've been doing all along. That part's the same. So slip stitch like normal. Here's where it's a tad different. You're going to chain one again, lift up your loop. Now you're going into the opposite side. Okay. So it's a little tiny little bit different. So pop your hook in there, grab your loop. Now this is where the area where you can actually lose your loop. So be careful with that. Otherwise you have to do half of that row again. All right, so you've got your hook on your loop, hold it, and then just pull it through there. Just being wary you haven't caught on anything underneath. Chain one, single into your next corner. Pull up your loop and go across like you would any other row. So again, if you're not sure where to go, that's your corner stitch, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, and this one here is a little tighter than normal because we've done something different with the corners. All right, so pop your hook in that next stitch there, which is actually the corner stitch, yeah, and then you do your normal singles across. Single in your first stitch, don't miss it, yeah, lift up your loop, single in your next, slip stitch in your next on the opposite side, single in your second, slip stitch into your second, single into your third, slip stitch into your third, single into your corner, lift up your loop, slip stitch into your corner stitch on that side, and here is where you chain one, lift up your loop, go to the opposite side. Look, if you're looking at it, that's your opposite corner, and you just pop your hook in that opposite corner of the blue, pop your loop on, pull the loop through, chain one, and here is where you slip stitch into that stitch right there. Again, this is where it's different. Chain 1, lift up your loop. You're going into the corner on the opposite side. And you want to grab that loop. And this is the part where you can accidentally lose your loop or it can slip. So just keep it all nice and firm like so. Chain 1, single into your very next corner, lift up your loop, and once again you find that very first stitch on this side, pull it through like so, and you single across like normal. 1 and the opposite. 1, 2, the opposite. 2 and 3. Opposite 3. All right, like so. And there you go. All right, what I'm going to do is head off on my own and do mine. And what I want you to do is just repeat the corners that you see here. Repeat this corner all the way across until you get to that corner. I don't want you to sit here and watch me do it. It'll take like forever. So continue in that manner. Just complete the corners exactly the way we did that very last corner, all the way through. Get to your stitch with your stitch marker right here. Meet me there once you're done and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to continue along the way, and having a look at it, you can't tell that it's much different than any other row. So it's pretty cool, this join. A little awkward, but pretty cool, yeah? All right, so I got to, let's see where I got to. I can remember. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, I got to the 3rd stitch. I'm on my last stitch on the opposite side, the corner stitch, and I've just pushed the tail at the back and I've done the single crochet. And now I want to pop the slip stitch into the corner stitch on this side. Then we're going to chain 1, don't lose the stitch, chain 1 and slip stitch into the chain stitch from this side, not the single crochet, the actual chain, which is real tricky, yeah? Chain 1, and before you do the next single crochet, hold it there. This is where our little square comes into play. What we need, now just quickly to remind you, this was the first row we did, and then we went the grey and then the purple. So what you want to do is find your piece that has the yellow, the grey and the purple. So if you did it this way, that's wrong. If you did it this way, that's wrong. And wrong, it's almost close, but there it is. So yellow, grey, purple. So we're going to go across this way for our square. And when we get to this part here, that's going to go that way. So it's going to make like a U-turn kind of thing. All right. A U-turn, can I say that? A right-hand turn. We'll put it that way, yeah? So just leave it there for now. The right side of our work we're still working on. So you pick up your piece, and that's your piece there. You've picked up your loop, yeah? Go over to your piece, pretending that it's already attached, but it's not. Pop your hook in your chain space. We want the chain space. Loop on the hook. Leave your stitch marker there. It's a bit awkward, but leave it there. Pull the loop through. Chain 1. Single crochet in the same corner as before. Yep. Lift up your loop, go over here, find your first single crochet. Now it's going to be a little tight because I think that's where I did my, yes it is, it's where I did my weaving in of the ends. So be careful, yeah? And if you're not sure, count back. That's the corner 1, 2, 3, which is there. It's very tight. So mine's very, very tight. Hopefully yours isn't as tight as this. But pull that loop through. It's really tight. Go into your very first stitch and do your single crochet. Lift up your loop, making sure it's still on the right side of your work. They're both facing the right side, yeah? Now I'm going to have to move this right over because there's your corner 1, 2 and 3. Pop it on your hook, and I've popped it the wrong way around. Good on you, man. Make sure your thread is facing that way, yeah? You don't want to do that. And just pull that loop through. Oh, very tight, those 2 stitches. We should be right now to go single into the next, pull up a loop, slip stitch into your second on this side. It's a little tight, but not that much. Just keep losing that loop, don't I? Like so. Single into your third, slip stitch into your third from this side. I think my problem is I pull the loop up too high. Don't pull it up too high, yeah? And single into your corner on this side. Pull up your loop. Okay, now here the corner stitch is there. It's a little tight, but it's there, yeah? And slip stitch through. And then you chain 1. Now this is like what we did before here. You want to lift that loop up and you're going into the opposite square, which is the grey on the small square side. So go to the grey here, go into the chain space, grab the loop and pull that through. Chain 1, slip stitch into this part right here. Let's try that again. You know that section, that chain section, so slip stitch through. Chain 1, lift up your loop, and now you're going into the opposite side. So I'm just going to give it a tug. Go into the opposite side. This is the tricky side. Okay, this is the side that gets real tricky. I'm going to talk to you in a minute about another join if this is too hard for you, all right? So just pull that loop through. Chain 1. Go back to the main piece that you're working on, your big piece, yeah? Do your corner. Pull up your loop. Now when you do this section, make sure you've got the right stitch. So corner, 1, 2, 3, right there. Because sometimes it can be tricky and hide. Pop your loop on, pull the loop through. And now we're going to do that first stitch. Just move your work over because we're in the corner and you don't want to miss. So you go 1, 2, and 3. The really tight stitch in there. That's your slip stitch from your chains, yeah? So you are doing your single crochet there. Lift up the loop for a minute. Just quickly, if this join, which is like it's tricky for me, yeah? If this join is way too tricky for you, put a single crochet into every stitch in the round, slip stitching into this section and just hand sew the piece together. All right, which I can show you that particular join another time if you want. Once again, if the join is difficult, leave a comment in the comment section down below and I will try and work out a different kind of join for you, all right? Using a larger square so you can see pretty much what I'm doing, yeah? But in the meantime, we're going to continue this because this is the right join to use for this piece, yeah? All right, so what you're going to do, what have we done? We've done the first stitch. We're going to move over to the first stitch on this side, there, like so. Pull that loop through. Third stitch, and then you single crochet in the corner, pull up your loop, and you single crochet. Now that corner stitch is there, but it's fairly tight. So make sure you get into that corner stitch, yeah, before you do any slip stitching into the corner sections. So you do your normal slip stitch into that corner stitch, yep. And this is where you chain 1, pull up your loop, go to the opposite corner, which is your purple, Pop your hook in the purple, grab the loop. Take your time if you want to do this thing, and just take your time for this stitch. Chain 1, slip stitch into this stitch right here. Chain 1, lift up your loop. Go all the way over to this corner. I'm sorry, I'm not in frame there, guys. Sorry about that. We've done this corner this way, and now we're doing this corner this way. So pop your hook in, grab your loop, pull that loop through like so. Chain 1, jump into the corner of your working side. That's my cat playing with toys in the background. Sorry, guys. And just make sure you get into the first stitch. You can count them back if you like. So your corner stitch is, so that's your corner section there, right there. And then you've got your, I'm trying to count it, there it is, corner. 1, 2, 3, and that is the stitch you're going into. Pull that loop through. Single crochet into your first stitch on your working side, slip stitch into your first stitch on the opposite side, single into your second, pull up your loop, slip stitch into your second, single in your third, slip stitch into your third, corner. This is where it gets different, yeah? Go into your corner stitch like normal though, your normal single crochet right there. All right, so what we want to do here is chain 1 and just jump into the chain space with your loop and just pull it through. All right, chain 1, slip stitch into the stitch, you know, the normal space. Chain 1, pull up your loop again. You're going right back into that corner because this is different, this area, and I'll explain once we've done one section. Okay. Pull that loop through again. This is the second time we're pulling it through there. Chain 1, single crochet in that corner. And now we're going to work along the side of that stitch. So you've actually made a, let me pull this up for a minute. I'll put my hand in there so you can see. You've made like a little point. You've gone along here and then you've made a point for that corner section there. And when you come back, you're going to have a point for that corner section there. Don't worry about that for now. We're just going to keep going as though we didn't even make that point. All right. So you're officially in that corner. Lift up your loop a little bit. You want to find the corner stitch here. And it's easy to find actually. I found it right there. Very simple with this one. Probably not so tight, that's all. And then into the first stitch on this side with a single crochet. Single into your corner, pull up your loop and slip stitch into the corner there. Pull the loop through like normal. And then you chain 1 and you go into your opposite corner. So we are here. The yellow right over there is your opposite corner, not here, there. Okay, so pop your loop on your hook, pull it through, chain 1, slip stitch into that chain spaced area, or slip stitch area if you will. Pull the loop through, chain 1, pull up your loop. Now you're going back into the purple area. It's the actual opposite, the direct opposite corner, all right? Not the one that you're working in, right opposite there. Pop your loop on your hook properly or you'll lose it. And then just pull that loop through, chain 1, single crochet in the corner of the yellow. Take your time doing this, it can get a little confusing. Lift up your loop, pull your work over, just check. That's your corner, and that's your 1, 2, 3, and that's your corner right there. Okay, so pop your loop on. Alright guys, I got a bit crochet happy, but I did my corner stitch and I did my corner stitch on that side. So what we want to do is chain 1, lift up our stitch. This is the corner that's going to have the point. Okay, so you've lifted up your stitch, you're going to go into your corner, chain like normal and pull that loop through like normal. Chain 1, slip stitch into your slip stitched or chained area. Chain 1, we're going back in that corner just for this section, okay? And I'll explain that to you when you're doing your next section. Pull the loop through, chain 1, make your corner in your next set of greys. Pull up your loop. Yeah, the corner stitch is very, very tight right here. You're going to find that because we're working on points now, so it's tightening up that whole area. So make sure you don't miss anything. See how tight that was? Okay, chain 1, very tight. Go into the first stitch on this side, pull up your loop. Make sure you don't miss any stitches. See, right there is a very tight stitch. Just for these corner sections. Okay. Pull the loop through into your second. Pull up your loop and into your second on this side. If I can get in there. Hello. All right, what I'm going to do, I don't want you to sit here and watch me do this. It's taking me forever. But notice the way it's starting to look. All right. Oh, we're not even in frame. Hello. So notice the way it's starting to look. You got your first point there, your point there. What I want you to do, I'm going to pop a stitch marker in here for you. I'm going to grab a stitch marker and I want you to get to this, roughly around this corner section. All right, so it'll just take forever for me to do, but you know how to do these sections right here. Do 1, 2, get to this corner right here, meet me there, and we'll finalize our base. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to get to this corner where that stitch marker is on the purple. Yeah. Alright, so you can remove the stitch marker if you like. We're going to work around it anyway. This is the corner point that you're going to make. Alright. All you did was do your normal stitching across this way, crisscross, crisscross, and got to here. And then we're going to now, I've done my corner. Now I've got to pick up my stitch. I forgot to put it in the corner on this side. I'll do that now. Chain 1. And what do we do here? We pop our hook in the corner on this side in that chain space. Pull the loop through. Chain 1. Slip stitch into that little chain space area. Chain 1, lift up the loop back into that corner. Pull the loop through, chain 1, single crochet into your purple. Now this only happens on the points. Alright, doesn't matter now because we're on the end anyway, we're on the end of it, so there we go. Lift up your loop, go into that first stitch right here, fairly tight for me. Oops, pop your loop on the hook and just pull it through like normal. And you are going to do simply this. Go across this way, right? Go all the way across this way. Ooh, get that out. Go all the way across this way, and until you get to that corner right there, just keep going, and when we get to that corner, we'll close up, and that will be the end of our base. So continue along the row right there. That's just normal crisscross on both sides. And I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, I thought I'd get on a little earlier because you may be having the same problem that I'm having. Right here is very tight. I think what we'll do is we'll remove the stitch marker because it's just in the way. When we get there, we can work it out. Just lift up the loop for a minute. If you're anything like me, you've got a tail. Just grab that tail and pass it on the inside. For now, we can weave that last tail in later. But for now, just continue doing your side, and I think I got to, I don't know what I'm up to. Because you can't put your finger in there anymore, so it's going to be a little awkward. We can do it on my first stitch. I'm up to my first stitch. We can do it for the first 2 stitches or 3 stitches. So let's, and I'm so far away, excuse me. Nice and close, that's better. And do the single crochet there. Lift up the loop. This is where you're just going to have to be careful and do it slowly rather than popping your finger in. Yeah. Usually your fingers are in and it's in the, and you can keep it open, but it's hard to keep open, isn't it? So you're just going to do this. Pull the loop through like normal. Try and get into that center. If you want to pop your whole hand in there, that's probably a better way of doing it. Pop your whole hand in, and then you can find your second stitch, which is there. We'll do that. We'll put the whole hand in there. That's better. It works at least. So pop your whole hand in, lift up your loop, and you can find that other there. That's where we need to be. Right there. And of course the stitches on this end are really tight as well. So pop your loop on. Hold it down and pull it through. Once again, pop that tail at the back for a second. You're going into your third stitch, into your, doing your single crochet, pull up your loop, go into the third stitch on this side, very tight area, but you want to continue doing this or it's not going to look right. Pull that loop through. Then you want to go into the corner stitch. Don't put the tail there, pull the tail back. Go into your corner stitch with a single crochet. It's a corner space really. Pull up your loop, the hand in, find the corner stitch on this side. It's right there. Right there. All right, a little tricky, but it's there. And pull that loop through that stitch. Chain one. Keep forgetting to chain that one, don't I? Lift up your loop. Now here you've got that slip stitch to join area. Remember we did that stitch on this side where you need to slip stitch into. We're just going to go into the corner of the base on this side and pull it out through to the other opposite corner. Grab that loop on the hook and tighten it up and just pull it through like so. Pull up a loop like so. Cut your piece. Make your loop nice and tall because we're going to cut it. You actually should check your work before you cut anything, right? You're going to cut it, and if you make sure this is all correct looking, making sure all the stitches are done, then you're going to get your sewing needle. I have to look for it, guys, sorry. Don't you love it? Thread your needle like so, and just take, you've come out through this side here, you want to go back in to the other side like so. So you came out through here, you're going back in there. It's almost like you're doubling up on going through the corner, which you are, and then just pull the loop through, pull your tail through. Just turn it inside out for a minute and weave in this end, weave in the little blue end, and weave in this little yellow end. All right, so I'm going to weave this in, but I'm going to pop it on fast because I know you know how to weave in ends now. We've done it so many times. So just find some spots anywhere you want to weave in this end, and off we go. All right, just rush through that weaving because I did it 3 times though. Make sure you do this last tail 3 times. All right, really important. And then just weave in those ends. I'm not going to do that now because I don't want to waste your time. But what I do want to do real quickly is show you firstly what you did. And even though it looked like it wasn't going to make it, did it not make it or what? Check that out. How cool is that? All right. Before we attach the lining, we have to do one more job. Now, go back to the very first yellow we did, and you know it's the first yellow because there are yellows in between, but they're yellows where there are 2 yellows together. Yeah, and what you want to do is go into your yellow right here, just that corner stitch right there. And you know what, you can do it anywhere, but I'm just going to do it like that. Yeah. Then you want to grab some blue, pop it over your hook and pull it through. We are going to do a border round across this piece here, or it's not going to attach easily to the purse. All right, just passing your tail forward. I've given myself a way too long tail there, but doesn't matter. All right, and what you want to do is chain 1 in the same stitch, single crochet like normal, like we've been doing all along. This is a super easy round to the extent where I don't think I need to show you much. Single into the, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drop the tail so it doesn't annoy you, but single into your very first stitch, which is there. All right. And then 1 into the next 2, 1 into the next 3, 1 into the next 4, corner stitch 5. Jump over your seam line and into the very next corner 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Jump over your seam line and into the very next corner. Ignore this section here. Go into that next corner right there. Tighten it up a little. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15 if I can get it in the stitch. Nice and tight stitch. That was a slip stitch in the end. Hello, let's try that again. 15. Ignore all of this. Jump into your next stitch. 16. Tighten it up. Yeah. 17 and so on. All right. So I don't think I need to show you anymore. I want you to do just that. Single crochet into every stitch all the way across. Sorry guys, I should have just mentioned, make sure you've just got 5 single crochets across per square and ignoring your seam line, all right? 5 single crochet in each stitch, ignore the seam line, 5 single crochet in each stitch and ignore the next seam line, and so on all the way through. Across, get to your last stitch before the stitch marker, meet me there and we'll talk about attaching the lining to our bag.